Section 5. The process of the creation of the universe and its growing period. 5.1. The process of the creation of the universe. According to the Genesis account of the creation of the universe, amidst the primordial state of chaos, void, and darkness, God created light. God next separated the waters under the firmament from the waters above the firmament. He then divided the land from the ocean, created plants, fish, birds, mammals, and finally made humankind. All of this took a period of 6 days. From this account, we can surmise that the process of creating the universe took some period of time represented by 6 days. The process of creation recorded in the Bible bears some resemblance to the theory of the origin and formation of the universe as described by modern science. According to modern science, the universe began as expanding plasma. Out of the chaos and void of space, the heavenly bodies formed and gave light. As the molten earth cooled, volcanic eruptions filled the sky with a firmament of water. The land rose and the water fell as rain, creating the continents and oceans. Next, the lower plants and animals came into being. Then came fish, birds, mammals, and finally humankind in that order. The age of the earth is calculated to be several billion years. Considering that the account of the creation of the universe recorded in the Bible thousands of years ago nearly coincides with the findings of modern scientific research, we are reassured that this biblical record must be a revelation from God. The universe did not suddenly spring forth complete, without regard to the flow of time. In fact, its origin and development took an enormous length of time. Therefore, the biblical period of 6 days for the completion of the universe is not to be reckoned by the number of literal sunrises and sunsets. It symbolizes 6 ordered periods of time in the creation process. 5.2. The growing period for the creation. The fact that it took 6 days, that is, 6 time periods, to complete the creation of the universe implies that some period of time was also necessary to complete the creation of each of the individual entities that make up the universe. Furthermore, the way the Genesis account reckons each day reveals something about the passage of time required for the creation of an entity. The account has an unusual way of numbering each day of creation. When the first day of creation was completed, it states, there was evening and there was morning, one day. One would think that the arrival of the morning after the passage of an evening and a night would be reckoned as the second day, yet it is referred to as the first day. Bible states one day to show that a created being must pass through a growing period symbolized by the night before it reaches perfection in the morning. Then, as it greets this new morning, it can step forward and realize its ideal of creation. All phenomena occurring in the universe bear fruit only after the lapse of a certain interval of time. All things are designed to reach completion only after passing through a set growing period. 5.2.1. The 3 ordered stages of the growing period. The universe unfolds and manifests God's original internal nature and original external form based on mathematical principles. Hence, we can infer that one aspect of God's nature is mathematical. God is the one absolute reality in whom the dual characteristics interact in harmony. Therefore, He is a being of the number 3. All created beings, having been conceived in the likeness of God, manifest their existence, movement, and growth through a course of 3 stages. The 4-position foundation, which is God's purpose of creation, was to be completed through a 3-stage process: the origin in God, the marriage of Adam and Eve, and the multiplication of children. In order to establish the 4-position foundation and carry on circular movement, a being must first perform the 3-stage origin, division, union, action, and fulfill the 3-object purpose, with each position engaged in interaction with the other 3. It is like what is needed for something to stand firm. It must be supported by at least 3 points. Accordingly, each reaches perfection by passing through 3 ordered stages of growth: the formation stage, the growth stage, and the completion stage. In the natural world, many things appear in threes. It contains 3 kingdoms: mineral, plant, and animal. Matter exists in 3 states: gas, liquid, and solid. Most plants are composed of 3 parts: roots, branches or stems, and leaves. Animals consist of head, body, and limbs. There are also many examples of the number 3 in the Bible. Human beings could not fulfill the purpose of their existence because they fell without completing the 3 stages of the growing period. Hence, in their renewed efforts to realize their purpose, human beings must pass through these 3 stages. In the providence of restoration, God has worked to reclaim the number 3, which explains why there are many records in the Bible of the number 3 and dispensations based on the number 3, the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the 3 levels of paradise, the 3 archangels, the 3 levels of Noah's Ark, the 3 flights of the dove from the ark after the flood, the 3 offerings of Abraham, and the 3-day journey before the sacrifice of Isaac. At the time of Moses, there were the 3-day plague of darkness, the 3 days of purification at the start of the Exodus, the 3 40-year periods for the journey to Canaan, and the 3 days of purification under Joshua's leadership just prior to crossing the Jordan River. In the life of Jesus, we see 3 decades of private life followed by 3 years of public ministry, the 3 wise men from the east who brought 3 gifts, the 3 disciples, the 3 temptations, the 3 prayers in the Garden of Gethsemane, Peter's 3 denials, the 3 hours of darkness at the crucifixion, and Jesus' resurrection after 3 days in the tomb. When did the first human ancestors fall? They fell during their growing period, when they were still immature. If human beings fell after they had attained perfection, then there would be no basis for belief in the omnipotence of God. If human beings fell after they had become perfect embodiments of goodness, then goodness itself would be imperfect. Accordingly, we would be forced to conclude that God, as the source of goodness, is also imperfect. It is written in the book of Genesis that God warned Adam and Eve, "Of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it you shall die." They had a choice to either ignore God's warning and lose their lives, or to heed the warning and live. The fact that they had the potential either to fall or to become perfect demonstrates that they were still in a state of immaturity. The universe was designed to reach perfection after a certain growing period, described in the Bible as 6 days. As one of God's creations, human beings are also bound to this principle. At what stage of the growing period did the first humans fall? They fell at the top of the growth stage. This can be demonstrated by examining the circumstances surrounding the fall of the first human ancestors and the history of the providence of restoration. These will be further clarified through a thorough study of this volume. 5.2.2 The Realm of Indirect Dominion. During the growing period, all beings in the creation grow by virtue of the autonomy and governance given by God's principle. God, the author of the principle, has regard only for the fruits of their growth, which are based on the principle. In this way, He governs all things indirectly. We call this growing period the realm of God's indirect dominion, or the realm of dominion based on accomplishments through the principle. All things reach perfection after passing through the growing period, the realm of indirect dominion, by virtue of the autonomy and governance given by God's principle. Human beings, however, are created in such a way that their growth requires the fulfillment of their own portion of responsibility, in addition to the guidance provided by the principle. They must exercise this responsibility in order to pass successfully through the growing period and reach perfection. We can deduce from God's commandment to Adam and Eve that the first human ancestors were responsible to believe in the word of God and not eat of the fruit. Whether or not they disobeyed God and fell depended not on God, but on themselves. Whether or not human beings attain perfection does not depend only on God's power of creation. It also requires the fulfillment of human responsibility. In His capacity as the Creator, God created human beings in such a manner that they can pass through the growing period, the realm of indirect dominion, and attain perfection only when they have completed their own portion of responsibility. Because God Himself created human beings in this way, He does not interfere with human responsibility. God endowed human beings with a portion of responsibility for the following reason. By fulfilling their given portion of responsibility, with which even God does not interfere, human beings are meant to inherit the creative nature of God and participate in God's great work of creation. God intends human beings to earn ownership and become worthy to rule over the creation as creators in their own right, just as God governs over them as their creator. This is the principal difference between human beings and the rest of creation. Once we fulfill our responsibility, we inherit God's creatorship and attain dominion over all things, including the angels. God provides us with a course through the realm of indirect dominion that we may attain this perfection. We fallen people who have not yet attained the qualifications to rule must fulfill our responsibility according to the principle of restoration. By so doing, we can progress through the realm of indirect dominion and thereby restore our right to rule over all things, including Satan. This is the only way we can accomplish the purpose of creation. God's providence of salvation has been prolonged for so long because the central figures in charge of the providence of restoration repeatedly made mistakes while attempting to fulfill their portions of responsibility, with which even God could not interfere. No matter how great the saving grace of the cross of Christ, the salvation knocking at our door will be for naught unless we fortify our faith, which is our portion of responsibility. It was God's responsibility to grant the benefit of resurrection through the crucifixion of Jesus, but to believe or not to believe is strictly one's own portion of responsibility. 5.2.3 The Realm of Direct Dominion. What is the realm of God's direct dominion and what is its purpose? Human beings abide in the realm of direct dominion when, as subject partner and object partner, they unite in the love of God to form a four-position foundation and become one in heart with God. In this realm, they freely and fully share love and beauty according to the will of the subject partner, thus realizing the purpose of goodness. The realm of direct dominion is the realm of perfection. It is essential for the fulfillment of the purpose of creation. What is the meaning of God's direct dominion over human beings? Once Adam and Eve had perfected themselves as individuals centered on God, they were to live together as one, forming the four-position foundation in their family. Living in oneness with God's heart, they would have led a life of goodness, sharing the fullness of love and beauty with Adam as the head of the family. In the realm of God's direct dominion, people were intensely experiencing God's heart within themselves, hence, they will know His will and carry it out in their action. Just as every part of the body spontaneously moves in response to the subtle directions of the mind, people will spontaneously carry out the will of God in accord with the deeply felt intentions of His heart. In this state of perfect resonance, the purpose of creation is realized. What will the world be like when the natural world abides under the direct dominion of human beings? When a fully mature person relates with the diverse things in nature as his object partners, they come together to form a four-position foundation. People who are in total resonance with God's heart will lead the natural world in the free-flowing sharing of love and beauty, and the entire universe will realize goodness. In such a manner, human beings will exercise direct dominion over all things. Section 6. The incorporeal world and the corporeal world, whose center is human beings. 6.1. The incorporeal world and the corporeal world as substantial realities. The universe was created after the pattern of a human being who is in the image of God's dual characteristics. Therefore, the structure of the universe and every entity in it resembles that of a human being, which consists mostly, fundamentally, of mind and body. Corresponding to the human mind and body, the universe consists of the incorporeal world and the corporeal world, both of which are real and substantial. The incorporeal world is so called because we cannot perceive it through our 5 physical senses, yet we can perceive it through our 5 spiritual senses. Those who have had spiritual experiences testify that the incorporeal world appears as real as the world in which we live. The incorporeal and corporeal worlds together form the cosmos. The body cannot act apart from its relationship with the mind. A person cannot perform true actions apart from a relationship with God. Likewise, the corporeal world cannot manifest its true value apart from the relationship with the incorporeal world. Furthermore, just as we cannot discern a person's character without fathoming his mind, and we cannot understand the fundamental meaning of human life without understanding God, we also cannot understand the nature and structure of the corporeal world without understanding the nature and structure of the incorporeal world. The incorporeal world or spirit world is in the position of subject partner, and the corporeal world or physical world is in the position of object partner. The latter is like a shadow of the former. When we shed our physical bodies after our life in the physical world, we enter the spirit world as spirits and live there for eternity. 6.2. The position of human beings in the cosmos. The position of human beings in the cosmos has 3 aspects. First, God created human beings to be the rulers of the universe. The universe does not of itself have internal sensibility towards God. Hence, God does not govern the universe directly. Rather, God endowed human beings with sensibilities to all things in the universe and gave them the mandate to rule over the universe directly. God created the human body with elements from the physical world, such as water, clay, and air, to allow us to perceive and govern it. To make it possible for us to perceive and govern the spiritual world, God created our spirits with the same spiritual elements that compose the spirit world. On the Mount of Transfiguration, Moses and Elijah, who had died hundreds of years earlier, appeared before Jesus and ministered to him. These were actually the spirits of Moses and Elijah, yet Jesus was able to converse with them and was glorified before them. Human beings, composed of flesh, which can dominate the physical world, and spirit, which can dominate the spiritual world, likewise have the potential to rule both worlds. Second, God created human beings to be the mediator and the center of harmony of the cosmos. When a person's flesh and spirit unite through give and take action and become God's substantial object partner, the spiritual and physical worlds can also begin give and take action with that person as their center. They thus achieve harmonious integration to construct a cosmos that is responsive to God. Like the air that enables 2 tuning forks to resonate with each other, a true person acts as the mediator and center of harmony between the 2 worlds. The ability to communicate between the 2 worlds also may be likened to a radio or television, which transforms invisible waves into perceptible images and sounds. Thus, a person can accurately convey the realities of the spiritual world to the physical world. Third, God created human beings to encapsulate in a substantial form the essence of everything in the cosmos. God created the universe by projecting and developing the pre-existent prototype of the human nature and external form into countless substantial forms. The human spirit encapsulates all of the elements found in the spirit world, since God created the spirit world as the unfolding of the spirit's internal nature and external form. The human body encapsulates all the elements of the physical world, since God created the material realm as the unfolding of the body's internal nature and external form. Accordingly, since human beings contain within themselves the essence of all things in the cosmos, each person is a microcosm. However, due to the human fall, the universe has lost its master. St. Paul wrote, "The creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God." That is, people who have been restored to the original state. Tragically, with the fall of human beings who should have been served as the center of universal harmony, the give and take between the physical and spiritual worlds was severed. The two worlds have been rendered utterly unable to achieve integration and harmony. Since they remain divided, Paul continued, "The whole creation has been groaning in travail." Jesus came as a new Adam, perfect in flesh and spirit. He was the microcosm of the cosmos. This is why it is written, "God has put all things in subjection under his feet." Jesus is our Savior. He came into the world to open the way for fallen people to become perfect as he was perfect, by moving our hearts to believe in him and become one with him. 6.3. The reciprocal relationship between the physical self and the spirit self. 6.3.1. The structure and functions of the physical self. The physical self consists of the dual characteristics of the physical mind, subject-partner, and the physical body, object-partner. The physical mind directs the physical body to maintain the functions necessary for its survival, protection, and reproduction. Instinct, for example, is an aspect of an animal's physical mind. For the physical self to grow in good health, it must have proper nourishments. It must absorb air and sunlight, which are intangible, yang types of nourishments, and must eat and drink food and water, which are tangible, yin types of nourishment. The body has give and take with this nourishment through its digestive and circulatory systems. Good or evil in the conduct of the physical self is the main determinant of whether the spirit self becomes good or evil. This is because the physical self provides a certain element which we call the vitality element to the spirit self. In our everyday experience, our mind rejoices when our physical self performs good deeds but feels anxiety after evil conduct. This is because vitality elements, which can be good or evil according to the deeds of the physical self, are infused into our spirit self. 6.3.2. The structure and functions of the spirit self. Our spirit self, or spirit, is a substantial yet incorporeal reality which can be apprehended only through the spiritual senses. It is a subject partner to our physical self. Our spirit can communicate directly with God and is meant to govern the incorporeal world, including the angels. In appearance, our spirit self matches our physical self. After we shed the physical self, we enter the spirit world and live there for eternity. The reason we desire an eternal life is because our innermost self is the spirit self, which has an eternal nature. Our spirit self consists of the dual characteristics of spirit mind, subject partner, and spirit body, object partner. The spirit mind is the center of the spirit self, and it is where God dwells. The spirit grows through give and take action between two types of nourishments: life elements of a yang type that come from God, and vitality elements of a yin type that come from the physical self. The spirit itself not only receives vitality elements from the physical self, it also returns an element to the physical self, which we call the living spirit element. When people receive grace from a heavenly spirit, they undergo many positive changes in their physical self. They feel infinite joy and new strength welling up in them, which can even drive away illness. Such phenomena occur because the physical self receives living spirit elements from the spirit self. The spirit can grow only while it abides in the flesh. Thus, the relationship between the physical self and the spirit self is similar to that between a tree and its fruit. The physical mind obeys the spirit mind, and the physical self acts according to the good purpose of the spirit mind. The physical self receives living spirit elements from the spirit self and becomes wholesome. In return, the physical self provides good vitality elements to the spirit self, which enable the spirit self to grow properly in the direction of goodness. Truth illuminates the innermost desires of the mind-spirit. A person must first comprehend his spirit mind's deepest desire to the truth, and then put this knowledge into action to fulfill his responsibility. Only then do the living spirit elements and vitality elements reciprocate within him, enabling him to progress toward goodness. The living spirit element and the vitality element have the relationship of internal nature and external form. Because all people have living spirit elements ever activate within themselves, even an evil person's original mind inclines toward goodness. However, unless he actually leads a life of goodness, the living spirit elements cannot engage in proper give and take with the vitality elements, nor can they be infused into the physical self to make it wholesome. It can be inferred from the above that the spirit self can attain perfection only during a person's earthly life. The spirit mind guides the spirit self as it grows in the soil of the physical self. The growth of the spirit self toward perfection progresses through the three orderly stages ordained by the principle of creation. A spirit in the formation stage of life is called form spirit, in the growth stage a life spirit, and in the completion stage a divine spirit. A spirit fully matures as a divine spirit when the person's spirit self and physical self unite through perfect give and take action centered on God and form the four-position foundation. A divine spirit can accurately feel and perceive every reality in the spirit world. As these spiritual realities resonate through the body and manifest themselves as physiological phenomena, can be recognized through the five physical senses. People of divine spirit, who thus resonate with the spirit world, build the kingdom of heaven on earth. When they shed their physical bodies, they will make a smooth transition into the kingdom of heaven in the spirit world. For this reason, the kingdom of heaven in heaven will be realized only after the kingdom of heaven on earth has been established. All the sensibilities of a spirit are cultivated through the reciprocal relationship with the physical self during earthly life. Therefore, only when a person reaches perfection and is totally immersed in the love of God while on earth can he fully delight in the love of God as a spirit after his death. All the qualities of the spirit self are developed while it abides in the physical self. Sinful conduct during earthly life aggravates evil and ugliness in the spirit of a fallen person, while the redemption of sins granted during earthly life opens the way for his spirit to become good. This was the reason Jesus had to come to the earth in the flesh to save sinful humanity. We must lead a good life while we are on earth. Jesus gave the keys to the kingdom of heaven to Peter, who remained on the earth, and said, "Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." Because the primary objective of the providence of restoration must be carried out on the earth. It is not God who decides whether a person's spirit enters human or hell upon his death. It is decided by the Spirit himself. Humans are created so that once they reach perfection, they will fully breathe the love of God. Those who committed sinful deeds while on earth become crippled spirits who are incapable of fully breathing in the love of God. They find it agonizing to stand before God, the center of true love. Of their own will, they choose to dwell in hell, far removed from the love of God. Since a human spirit can grow only in the soil of the physical self, the multiplication of human spirits takes place at the same time that the multiplication of physical selves occurs during earthly life. 6.3.3 The spirit mind, the physical mind, and their relationship in the human mind. The human mind consists of the spirit mind and physical mind. The relationship between these two minds is like that between internal nature and external form. When they become one through give and take action with God as their center, they form a united functioning entity which guides the spirit self and physical self to become harmonious and progress toward the purpose of creation. This united entity is the mind of a human being. The conscience is that faculty of the human mind which, by virtue of its inborn nature, always directs us toward what we think is good. However, due to the fall, human beings have become ignorant of God and thus ignorant of the absolute standard of goodness. For this reason, we are unable to set the proper standard of judgment for our conscience. As the standard of goodness varies, the standard of our conscience also fluctuates. This causes frequent contention even among those who advocate a conscientious life. The original mind is that faculty of the human mind which pursues absolute goodness. It relates to the conscience as internal nature to external form. A person's conscience directs him to pursue goodness according to the standard which he has set up in ignorance, even though it may differ from the original standard. However, the original mind, being sensitive to the proper direction, repels this faulty standard and works to correct the conscience. As long as our spirit mind and physical mind are under the bondage of Satan, the functioning entity they form through their give and take action is called the evil mind. The evil mind continually drives people to do evil. Our original mind and conscience directs us to repel the evil mind. They guide us in desperate efforts to reject evil desires and cling to goodness by breaking our ties with Satan and turning to face God.